Hey, and welcome to Baking with Chickens, the show where I bake using eggs from my backyard chickens. I'm Christina, and this is our newest addition, Dude the Rooster, who inspired this amazing cake. In this episode today, I'm gonna show you how to make this Pocky cake and create this unique herringbone design using Pocky sticks. Ready? All right, Dude, that's your cue. To make a Pocky cake, the first thing you need is Pocky. And if you don't know what Pocky is, they are these amazing little Asian snacks that are biscuits dipped in chocolate or other flavors. I'm gonna show you how to use those sticks of Pocky to make this super cool herringbone design. Grab the recipe in the description below and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Ready? Bok bok bake!
Let's get all of our ingredients together in a mise en place. 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 cup of sour cream or Greek yogurt. Now the sour cream in this recipe helps make the cake nice and moist, and the acidity helps activate the baking powder. 2 cups of granulated sugar, 2.5 cups of flour, ½ cup of vegetable oil, which I find is better for making soft moist cakes. Add 1 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of culinary grade matcha powder, and 2 large eggs. So make sure you grab the large eggs that weigh in at approximately 53 grams per egg. Separate the egg yolks from the egg whites, and in the bowl of your stand mixer, beat the egg whites until you get stiff peaks. While that's beating, let's combine the wet ingredients into a medium-sized bowl. So eggs, sour cream, oil, and milk. Mix it together and set it aside. So now your egg white should be done. Take it out of the bowl and set aside for later. Now in that same bowl, combine all of your dry ingredients and stir it together to mix. Add in the wet ingredients and mix that together until you get a nice, smooth, luscious green batter. And then you're gonna add in your egg whites. And using your spatula, fold the egg whites into the cake batter until you don't see any more white streaks. The reason why I'm doing this is because it's gonna make that cake batter fluffier, so you're gonna have a nice, fluffy, soft cake. Prepare your cake pans by spraying them down and lining with parchment paper. You'll see here I have a bunch of mini cake pans because I was doing an experiment and I wanted to make a bunch of them for the project I was working on. And I also experimented with a failed strawberry cake that didn't work out so well. So for your purposes, all you need to do is line and grease a 8 or 9 inch cake pan and fill the cake batter into your cake pan. Bake in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 to 40 minutes, or until the center of the cakes come out clean when you stick a sharp pokey thing, like this. Let your cakes cool and then turn them out, put them on the baking rack to cool completely. But don't forget to take the parchment paper off, because if you forget, you don't want to eat parchment paper. You'll see that I made a whole lot of little mini cakes here for my project. I had a ton of leftover cake scraps. If you have extra cake scraps, you should totally check out my What to Do with Leftover Cake Scraps episode. I have 10 different creative ways you can use up your cake scraps that are left over when you slice off the tops. After your cakes have cooled completely, wrap them in plastic wrap and store them in the fridge until you're ready to slice and decorate, because a cold cake is easier to work with. Now it's time to make the frosting part of our cake. I'm making a Swiss meringue buttercream for our cake. Here's the quick and dirty version of how to make a Swiss meringue buttercream. First, you're gonna melt sugar and egg whites over a pot of boiling water. Stir it until the sugar has completely melted and you don't feel any sugar granules. And then whip it until you get stiff peaks. And once you get stiff peaks, add in your chunks of butter a little bit at a time. Here I'm adding a little bit of strawberry puree to make a light strawberry frosting. And then voila, you've got buttercream. I'm gonna pop my frosting in the fridge for just a little bit as I prep the cakes. So now I've got all my little cakes and I'm going to slice off the cake tops and then spread some frosting on that top layer. And because I'm doing a strawberry jam filling, I'm gonna pipe a ring around so it's like a wall to hold in all that jam filling. Fill it with jam, slice off another cake top, and then put that one on top of my cake. And then just repeat and do it all over again. Spread more frosting, put some strawberry jam, pipe your wall, and put your last layer on top and put your crumb coating of frosting all the way around until your cake is nice and straight and smooth. When you're done with the crumb coat, put it in the fridge so that the frosting can get cold and set. And now it's time to prep the Pocky. So I'm gonna cut the Pocky into 1-inch sections. Here I'm using strawberry Pocky, matcha, cookies and cream, and original chocolate. I'm gonna discard the little undipped part to set aside and snack on for later.
Did you know that Pocky has 50 different flavors? The original one is this one with the biscuit and a chocolate dip. And then there's also matcha, there's strawberry, there's banana, cookies and cream. There's even something called a men's Pocky that's a bittersweet chocolate, and there's crushed almonds. They even have specialty flavors, and they're sold all over the world. For this cake, I made it with the matcha, and the matcha looks like this. So we've got green ones, we've got brown ones, we have strawberry ones here, and I also used cookies and cream. Check this out. So the crunchy strawberry Pocky is a chocolate biscuit dipped in strawberry that has like little bits of freeze-dried strawberry, which is different than this kind of Pocky. There are so many different Pocky flavors that you can try that are different all over the world. So the name Pocky comes from the word pocken, which is an onomatopoeia, and onomatopoeias are words that sound like sounds, like pow, zam. Those are onomatopoeias. Pocken, or Pocky, is the sound that a Pocky makes when you eat it. You ready? Pocken, Pocky. Those Japanese, so clever. So you know what else is super cool about Pocky? So see how it has this undipped biscuit end? This is so you can eat it neatly and cleanly without getting melted chocolate on your hands. Isn't that so smart? Gosh, look at that. The perfect snack.
So grab your frosting out of the fridge and start frosting your cake. So a pretty good layer all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect because the cool part about this is that the Pocky is gonna cover up all of the frosting. So you don't need to have a perfectly frosted cake. Just pretty good will do. So when your frosting is done, now it's time to make the herringbone pattern out of the Pocky pieces. Start with your 1-inch piece of Pocky and then place it at a 45-degree angle tilted up on the cake. Stack them all on top of each other and then move on to your next row and do the same thing but tip it the other way. So 45-degree angle pointed down so that you're gonna have this V shape, and then just keep repeating all the way around until you get this really cool looking herringbone pattern.
So this pattern with the repeating V shape is called a herringbone. Now herringbone is named after the skeleton of a herring fish that looks like this. Super cool, right? And the first herringbone patterns that we've seen throughout history were used during the ancient Roman times, and they put stones paved in this herringbone pattern to create a really durable paved road during that time. It was also used by ancient Egyptians in jewelry, and now it's popular today in patterns. You'll see this herringbone pattern in fabrics and for fashion. Twill and even chevron are related to this. Super cool, huh?
Let's put the finishing touches on this cake. You could leave the top naked or cover it with more Pocky. So I took my leftover Pocky, cut it up into these little chunks, and then pressed it onto the top of the cake like this. And then I felt that this cake looked a little naked and it needed a little something else. So I'm giving it a Pocky crown. And then the Pocky crown turned into a Pocky mohawk, and then the Pocky mohawk turned into a dude hawk.
Ta-da! Look at my magical Pocky dude cake. It's so cute. Now it is time to cut the cake open because I know you want to see the insides, and let's taste test it. So on the side here, I have my other Pocky cakes that I made using other bits of cake that I had left over. So this one, I just used the leftover crushed up Pocky that I had and just put it on top. That's another way you can decorate with Pocky. I made this little mini Pocky cake with leftover cake scraps, so check out my 10 ways to use your leftover cake scraps to see how this one was made. But this one, I basically just smashed it so that they have like these thin ones and rolled it all in. So decorating your cake with Pocky has endless possibilities. But let's go back to our hero, the herringbone cake. It breaks my heart to cut into this cake, but we're gonna do it because we all wanna see the insides. So see how these Pockys have these nice little lines? So I can easily cut the cake right down the lines. For about 2 lines, that's like a piece of cake. And right there. Ta-da! All right, this is a teeny tiny itty bitty little mini cake, but pretty delicious. So I have the matcha cake here, and then I've got some strawberry jam and my frosting all the way around. And let's taste it. Mmm. So that matcha cake, it's a little that grassy matcha flavor, and it's got the sweetness of the Pocky and tartness from the strawberry filling. And then the Pocky on the outside is nice and crunchy. Mmm. You know what would be really good? So I used a Swiss buttercream because I thought that it would help hold the Pocky a bit better. But if you're just making this cake and you're gonna eat it right away, I think another really good filling that would taste really good with this matcha cake would be if you made like a strawberry mousse, or like a strawberry mousse kind of cream filling instead of like a Swiss buttercream. That would also be really good. Next time you see some Pocky, make this cake and tag me at Baking with Chickens and let me know that you made it. I want to see what it looks like. So now I have all of this Pocky left over because I went a little crazy and I bought a ton of Pocky to make this cake. Do you have any ideas of what I should make with my leftovers? Let me know. Drop it in the comments below and I will make it next time. All right. Thank you, my chickies, for watching, and until next time, bok bok. Hey, Miles, come here. Come here, Miles. Cuckoo, cuckoo.